I'm looking at this Golden State Warrior roster, and I don't know how good it's going to be this year. I don't know what they're gonna look like, but they really reworked this bad boy. Now they have not made final cuts, so I don't know who's going to be on the team. Yeah. But just some of the Steph, Dre, obviously, Kuminga, Looney, Chris Paul, Klay Thompson, Moses Moody. All right. Corey Joseph, I assume, will be on the final roster. Gary Payton II, I assume, will be on the final roster. Dario Saric. And then you got a bunch of Andrew Wiggins, who I omitted to bring up there. Trace Jackson Davis. I don't know if he's going to be on the team all year, but I feel like he'll be in the mix somewhere.
I like his prospects.
I do too. He caught a pass in the paint the other day and yammed. I like him. Him versus Trey Lyles was a very physical matchup.
He's got good hands.
I like him.
He's got really good hands, which is important.
Lester Quinones, I like him. I don't know where he fits.
I don't know where he fits.
I like him, though.
But he's good. He's one of those good locker room guys, too.
He attacks the basket.
Breath of fresh air. He's got energy.
Yeah.
He's good on a team where, he's not going to mope about his role. And he grew up watching the Warriors. He grew up watching Steph Curry and company. So this team, and look, it all starts with Steph Curry, which is why we're getting Brendan Payne on. What does Steph Curry actually work on? I mean, can you believe this is year number 15 for Steph?
No.
15 years already.
And he's still in his prime.
He's still a top 5 player in the league.
I know. Did you see some of the ESPN rankings came out the other day, and he was the 4th or 5th best player in the league? They had Luka ahead of him, and they had other guys ahead of him. And I'm like I get that for the regular season and throwing up stats and all that. But you tell me, if Dallas right now, not for next 10 years or 5, for this year to win a game this year, Luka or Steph?
You're taking Steph.
Yes.
Now Luka's special.
Maybe I'm being a homer there, but I'm taking Steph.
Luka's special. And Luka has played well in some big games, but I'm taking Steph.
Yes.
It's hands down.
And as much as I love Joel Embiid, and he's one of the MVP guys the last couple of years, year in, year out, he's amazing. Push comes to shove, I still fear Steph more than I do Joel Embiid, and he's amazing.
Yeah. No,
it's a short list.
It's a short list. So he's year 15. So what does he work on going into year 15? What does Steph Curry work on? What is he working on, and when does he have time to work on it?
He's added an element to his game, it feels like, every year the last few years. So, finishing around the rim a couple years ago was something that he added. I felt like ball handling has gotten tighter and tighter and tighter.
Yep.
His passing has always been underrated, but I feel like his passing's gotten better. And then clearly physically, you could tell that he has improved his strength. His conditioning is world-class.
Yep.
And then I also think that his mid-range doesn't get enough love.
No, I was just, you took the words out of my mouth about the mid-range. When the Warriors, even during those those championship seasons, Klay and Steph would embrace that mid-range to stabilize a game.
The hard dribble
to slow down, hard dribble in, 18 feet, 15 feet, and then just get hot from outside.
Yep.
If the outside shot's not hitting, let's go inside a little bit. Let's embrace the 15-footer. And he's got the post game. He could go back to the basket. We've seen that against the Wizards a few years ago. We're starting to see more of that one. And then defensively, look, he's never going to be the best defender. He knows that. We all know that.
Agreed.
But the way he moves his feet on defense and using his brain and know, okay, I know where this guy's going.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to use my help. One of the biggest plays of that Sacramento series was Game 4 when he helps on the Harrison Barnes. Now, Harrison Barnes is wide open, but the nice double on De'Aaron Fox, he gets the help from Draymond. Then, boom, goes out to Harrison Barnes to contest that shot. How much did it do with the miss? I have no idea.
Can we laugh for just a second?
What's that?
I was listening to Richard Jefferson, and what's the guy who's the Kings broadcaster? Mark Jones?
Yeah, Mark Jones.
He was doing the ESPN broadcast. I mean, they brought back Harrison Barnes for his championship pedigree. I mean, if ever there was a guy who has a championship on his resume who did very little to help complete that project, it is Harrison Barnes. He has been living off of the championship pedigree. I mean, Ricky Jean-Francois is impressed by how he's parlayed that one championship.
That's a little harsh.
Yeah, don't be doing that to my guy from LSU, man. Why'd you got to go to Ricky G? What did he ever do to you?
He signed a deal with the Colts one year, and they were like, we're trying to bring championship to the Colts. And it's just the name I always think about when you're trying to win. Really, we're still doing this with Harrison Barnes.
Well, Harrison Barnes
he was on a milk carton.
Yeah, I know the last 4 games.
What are we doing?
I do think the Kings, look, I don't want to diss
Derek White thought he went invisible in that series.
Derek White's had some big playoff moments.
No, the one against the Warriors, then he went invisible.
No, he had a game winner last year against, who was it?
Yeah,
Miami,
I'm talking about the finals.
The tip-in, Game 6.
Oh, that actually was incredible.
That was incredible.
That was incredible.
Heads up basketball. Dublin March.
Harrison would have went back iron on the tip-in.
Oh, here you go. Dublin March. This is not nice, Dublin March. Shasky, Wiseman is a championship guy. That's not nice,
that's
Dublin
what I'm
March.
saying.
Don't be that mean.
Just call it what it is.
Come on.
I mean, come on.
Don't be. No, I see Kings fans in the chat light the beam. They're doing are they lighting the beam again? Are they doing that again?
Well,
this
they
year?
had Monty McNair on the ESPN broadcast Saturday night, and he was, by the way, you're in Sacramento, bud, and he's wearing like a vest and a sweater. I'm like, dude, it's got to be 100 degrees inside. And he's like, I'm a vest guy, and, we lost the first couple of games, and we started lighting the beam. We're going to do it again this year. And I'm like, okay. I mean, it was cool.
The greatest line from Fitz was after Game 5.
What did he say?
What did he say? The only beam being lit is the beams on the Warriors team bus going down Highway I-80 or something like that.
Hey, can we appreciate Steph's gotten better every year. So is Fitz. Fitz has added elements to his game year after year after year.
I caught up with Fitz a couple weeks ago. He's ready to roll.
I love Fitz.
He's ready to roll. Speaking of ready to roll, it's Brandon Payne, man.
God, I'm ready for the Warriors.
Coach. He's coaching everybody these days. I see Davion Mitchell. I see De'Aaron Fox. I see all kind of guys in Brandon Payne's camp trying to steal some tips from Brandon Payne. Of course, the founder and CEO of Accelerate Basketball. His son, too, is actually starting to ball, which is really refreshing to see. It's cool to see Brandon Payne, the father, be just a parent watching his son ball out there.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's really hard just being a dad watching your son or daughter play sports and not – have a million thoughts and criticisms and things. It's very difficult.
Yeah, Brandon Payne can speak about that. Yeah. He's back on the Morning Roast here on 95.7 The Game with Shasky and Bonte. Brandon, good morning to you. I know you're in the Bay Area right now. You got some football thoughts, but how hard is that?
Yeah,
seeing your son, because I'm pretty sure you coach your son as well. You're teaching him some things there. How hard is it for you, Brandon, to watch your son ball out there?
Oh man, it's number one, it's the greatest thing in life to be able to share a sport and especially when it's your job, share something with your kids but at the same time you want to push them, you want to kind of hold them accountable, and it's tough. I've got two young men, my sons, that are both really good shooters, and unfortunately for them, a lot of people know who they are when they come in the gym, especially in Charlotte. So they get a lot of attention in terms of defenses really paying attention to them and trying to take them away. So it's interesting to kind of watch them. And it's not so much me talking to them. I mean, Stephen spent a lot of time with Carson this summer and talking to him about how to be a threat without the ball in his hands, and talking to him about how to screen and use screening opportunities to create opportunities for himself to shoot the basketball. So it's fun. I coach them hard, and but I love them at the same time, and they're very fortunate to have all the access to the NBA guys that they have, and so they get it from all angles when it comes to guys trying to help them out.
So I'm sure Carson has been at many workouts that you've had with Stephen Curry. When did he get over that? I guess that stardom of Steph Curry, with that intimidation factor, when we see his star, we're a young kid, we're like, oh my gosh, Dad, that's really Steph. When did he get over that? Because it sounds like he's got a good relationship with Steph.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I've got pictures of Carson and Steph when Carson was 2 years old. So, for Carson, he doesn't know any different. That's just Steph. And a lot of times I try to drive home to them like how special it is that they have the opportunity to be around them. But for them, it's just the way it's always been for them. So it's kind of lost on them a little bit. So I think when they get a little bit older and they get a little bit further away from it, they'll understand how special it was to have that as a part of their childhood. But right now I think they're just it's just Steph.
Brandon, I'm looking at like Steph's career, and B and I were talking about it. Every year it's like he's added elements to his game. Clearly there's a physical transformation that's happened, but whether it's attacking the hoop, mid-range, handles, passing, you name it, he's always added elements. When you get to this point in the career, do you guys just jot down shooting the mid-range left-handed hook shot? Where are you at right now in adding elements to the game? Because I know that he's always trying to go for more. So how does that conversation start?
Well, really, if you look through the 82-game season, especially the playoffs, the way teams defend him kind of tell us what we need to do in the offseason, because teams get very creative. They come up with a lot of different coverage options. They come up with the different matchups. They'll put length on them. They'll put people to take his footwork away. They'll put guys that are big, strong, and heavy, try to lean on them. They'll put guys like Davion on them to chase him everywhere. So we really use the information that the teams give us because that's what tells us what answers we need to come up with. So, of course, we're always trying to, expand his skill. We're trying to keep him sharp. We're trying to really work on decision making and all the things that go into being a good floor general, which right now he has a command over the game of basketball that I've never seen before. And, it's not just he's controlling himself. He has a control over the other 9 guys on the floor too. And he just plays the game at a different speed mentally than everybody else. So that is what allows him to get to all the skill that he's adding. The fact that he can slow things down so much mentally, he can see things kind of before they happen. And it just allows him to play at a different pace than everybody else.
Brandon Payne here on the Morning Rush on 95.7 The Game. You know the voice. You know who he is. Steph Curry's personal coach, CEO and founder of Accelerate Basketball. Does a lot of great things with skills in terms of basketball and helping kids out, helping out NBA players. The resume is looking better and better and better each year for you, Brandon. But I wonder, because I'm in Hawaii, right, and I'm watching Steph Curry eagle in Tahoe, the eagle putt to win that tournament. Then you see him in Dubai running hills. And then you see him at all these other events. Is it getting harder and harder, more challenging to get workout times? How do you guys find the time to work out with this busy schedule that he has?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. And, we're very fortunate to have a very good group of people that surround Steph to make sure that our schedule always allows time for us to get the work in that we need. And, there are times where it's a struggle because he does have so many responsibilities and obligations with not only with brand partners, but of course with his family, and he just needs time to himself sometimes as well. But, we do always make sure we find time to make sure the main thing is staying the main thing and get the work in that we need to get in on a daily basis to make sure that he's playing at this level for a long time. And I think he will be playing at this level for a while.
There's been a lot about Chris Paul, right, and Steph coming up, on the come up, where Steph, obviously was idolizing him to a degree, and now they're teammates. I mean, you have to have some sort of off-court relationship with Chris Paul, right?
Oh, I mean, listen, that relationship and how that's grown very quickly has been remarkable. And, you talk about I had Carson and Colin with me the first day that Chris and Steph played pickup at Chase Center, and we just kind of sat there and watched. And I just kind of looked at Carson, and he looked at me after they played the first game of 7. I think they won 7-0, and Carson said, "Wow, Chris Paul's really good." And I was like, "Yeah, he is. He's really good. He makes the game easy for everybody." And, that it was kind of refreshing. And, the thing that I was kind of struck by when I was sitting there watching that first day was the instant chemistry. And that doesn't come around very often. The fact that, Chris was able to come in here and he had great chemistry, not only with Steph, but with everybody else. And just the way that he was communicating with guys, especially guys like Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, I thought that was just, from the very beginning, I thought that was outstanding. And in my mind, I'm thinking, this group could be really, really good, because there were times last year where they never got to the right shot. There were times last year where when Stephen gave the ball up, I knew he wasn't going to get it back. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I think more often than not, this Warriors team is going to be able to take better care of the basketball. I think this Warriors team is more often than not going to get to the right shot in possessions, earlier in possessions than maybe they have in the last year or so. And I think a lot of that's going to have to do with not only with Chris Paul being on the floor, but just his influence on the locker room in general.
Right, and it looks like Klay Thompson's in better shape. What have you seen from him so far this offseason, Brandon?
Klay came and spent a few days with us. We had a mini camp, and, he's amazing. I mean, number one, just a great guy to have around. Just his perspective on things and just how he keeps things in perspective is amazing. But he's also a perfectionist, and he's also a very hard worker. And, he was in the gym a little bit earlier this summer than I think he has been in the past summers. And he was very active playing pickup. He was very active working out the entire summer. Just an extremely impressive guy. And, it was amazing to have Steph and Klay and Seth Curry. And we even had Jordan Poole in some of those workouts.
I saw that.
The shot making that we had in those workouts was just incredible.
How's JP doing? Because I think a lot of Warrior fans are like, boy, did you see JP with with Clay and Steph, and they still had their relationship. And there was a lot of rumors about whether or not Clay liked Paul. And I thought it was all hogwash. I was like, all right, that's not true. People are just making things up. But how was JP when you talked to him and you saw him in that workout?
He was great. Of course, he's excited for the new opportunity in front of him. And I think, he has a chance to really expand his game, not only in terms of who he is as a scorer and who he is as a basketball player, but he's also going to kind of step into a leadership role, which I think is going to change his perspective a little bit, and maybe he'll appreciate some of the hard things that he had to go through here once he gets in Washington a little bit more when he steps into that leadership role. But I think he's going to be a really good player for Washington, and he's in a position to where he could take some chances and learn really what his limitations are and figure that out based off of going through game action and trying some things out.
All right, I don't want you to speak for him, all right, because that's unfair, right, for anyone. Mm-hmm. But, where's this going with Steph? I mean, no one plays forever. So, when you guys talk, in confidence, is he 5, 10 years? A lot of guys have different aspirations. Is it year to year, day to day? How do you guys approach that kind of conversation?
Well, we have not talked about a timeline. I will tell you that. We have not talked about a timeline. We are still talking about things that he wants to accomplish in the game. I can tell you this, physically, he has so much left in the tank. It's the end is not even in sight. Yeah. And playing at the level that he's playing, I don't think that that's going to change anytime soon. I don't think it's got anything to do with basketball. I don't think it'll have anything to do with anything physical when he decides that it's time to stop. I think it'll probably have a little bit more to do with, how much time he wants to spend with his family, and what he wants to do day to day with his children. And I think that will ultimately be the decision maker. I don't think it will be anything from skill erosion or just, not having the physical capability to do it anymore. I don't think that that's anywhere near us right now. I think it's just more to do with, the decisions he wants to make in terms of day-to-day life.
Well, Brandon, clearly everyone, I want to win another championship. I want to get to 5. I want to get to 6, whatever that is. Does he have any other individual accolades? Not that they're the number one thing, but just something that he would like to accomplish in the next year or, over the course of his career. Is there something that's maybe not just obviously he wants a championship. We all know that. But is there something else? I want to be the all-time X, Y, and Z guy in Warrior history.
Not that we have mentioned, not that we've talked about. I mean, it's kind of tough. He's done a lot already.
He owns every record.
There's not a whole lot left out there from a shooting standpoint to do. But it's nothing that we have talked about and said, hey, we really want to get to this. For me and for him, right now it's just our daily process is evolving. Now as your career advances, your process has to evolve. And so we're really focused right now on kind of refining what we want him to do on a day-to-day basis through this season to be the best version of himself. And we kind of stay in that moment. We kind of stay focused on that. And then, when adjustments and changes need to be made to that, or if we have to look at something through the season, we will. But right now, our focus is this morning is, going through the best activation period that we can from a ball handling standpoint, making sure we're challenging him mentally, making sure we're challenging him from a coordination standpoint, and making sure he's sharp. And that's kind of where we are. I know that's not what people want to hear when they ask about the future or ask about individual goals, but that's really who we are. I mean, that's really what's led to his success is staying present and making sure we're being the best version of ourselves on a daily basis.
You try to stack those rings, of course, man. Time Tim Duncan, time Kobe, trying to get one behind Michael Jordan. That is the plan here. Brandon Payne, our guest here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game. We've got a couple quick ones for you. Aussie Rules, listening all the way out there in Australia, does have a question for you. Do you see Steph owning a basketball team, or is he into ownership at any point? Have you guys talked about that?
I thought about that.
Really?
I personally thought about he would be a really good owner and that he would be, I think that he would enjoy it, but it's nothing we've ever discussed. He has so many very lucrative businesses that he's a part of right now, and he has his own company, and he has a very, very good group of people that are growing that company and his brand for him. We haven't talked about it, but I think that he had at one point when the Panthers were changing ownerships, he had talked about getting a very, very small piece of that, but it just didn't work out. But, in terms of being a primary governor or having the largest piece of ownership, I'm not sure that's really crossed his mind.
Who inspires him? Like contemporaries or people in other industries? Like, obviously his family. Like everyone knows that. If you know anything about Steph Curry, clearly he's motivated individually and his family and all that stuff. But like, who are people within the sport of basketball or outside the sport of basketball that inspire him to keep pushing?
I mean, really, greatness is what inspires them, and greatness takes on, you can see it in a lot of different forms in a lot of different industries, and through art, you can see it through, athletes in other sports. A lot of the guys that are playing golf really inspire him because he works so hard with that to be better. So I don't think there's anybody specific. I think it's just he really appreciates when he's able to be around greatness and be able to view greatness, and he really appreciates the process that requires somebody to go through to reach that status. And I think that he draws inspiration from other people that he sees doing similar things as him.
I wanted you to say LeBron James. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm inspired by LeBron. Yeah. I'm just teasing.
No,
not really, but I am.
No, it is greatness, man, at this point. And I love that leadership role for Steph Curry. Real quick, because Brandon, we're going back and forth a little bit. Brock Purdy, Niner thoughts. You're a big football fan. You're a Panther fan. You got Bryce Young out there.
Brock thoughts?
Well, he might be having C.J. Stroud thoughts, thinking, how come we don't have C.J.? But Bryce is going to be all right. Brandon? It's going to be all right.
I hope he is. Right now, I'm just worried about him getting through 17 games without getting hurt. He's back there running for his life. I do think he's making some really good reads, and he's making the best decisions he possibly can in the situation where he's got a group of receivers that can't separate in a running game that's non-existent. So that's tough for a first-year quarterback to be thrown into that. But I land out here and I'm listening to all the fans, and I really appreciate the Bay Area fans. They are great. They remind me of ACC basketball and football fans in Charlotte. It's great how passionate they are. But man, I hear some of them get on Brock Purdy, and I just kind of shake my head. I'm like, I don't really know any quarterback. If you took Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel away from him, I don't know any quarterback that could operate the same. And I think Brock Purdy's great. I really do, and I think that they're set up for success because they've got a quarterback that's really good that they're not going to have to pay for a couple of years. They've got great talent around him. I think he's outstanding.
Stop booking Baldy.
Yeah,
we got to start booking Brandon Payne for our football.
He's talking about reads and lines and slides, man.
Wow.
Once a week, Brandon Payne. And then we'll get some insights. While Raymond Ritter's looking at us saying, hurry up and get him off. Hurry up and get him off. We don't want no, I'm kidding. Brandon, man, you're always good to us, man. Enjoy your stay in the Bay. You're going to be at the game tonight?
I'll be at the game tonight. Yes,
all right, man. If I stop by, I'll make sure to say hi to you, man. Thanks always for the time and giving us some insight on Steph.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Anytime. Brandon Payne here on the Morning Rush on 95.7. The Game is